Olive, like I said, did put up with a lot because she would always laugh and try and get him out of his, when he got moody. But no, uh, when he'd start drinking, he was in a really good mood. And then the more he drank, then the meaner he got. But we went to Sioux Falls one time. They had a circus. And it was Mildred and I went with him in the pickup, and he met one of his buddies down there. And they had a few drinks, and we had a great time. He was lots of fun that day. And we came home, and he was singing on the way home. And
How old were you then?
but, I was probably 7, 8. And Mildred would have been maybe a little older. Maybe I was maybe about, no, might have been 10, but I think more or less 8 or 9. And Mildred would have been about 12.
You don't have to talk about it, but there other episodes. Do you have memories of other times when he was drinking? And
Yeah, one time he came and he got the gun again, and Mildred and I, we hid it. One time we hid up in the haymow, and Ruth was pretty little then, because I had to shove her up, and Mildred had to pull her up the steps because she was so little yet. And we sat up in the haymow, and he always went for the gun. And finally, Olive would, if she knew he was coming home, she finally got so she hid it. And one time we sat up in the corn crib. And
he would get mad and then go for his gun and kind of go after whoever was there.
Yeah, it scared us.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Mildred was never able to relax and really have fun. And I think, man, she put up with, she had to protect us so many times. And she was pretty little, she was Ashley's age, and she'd have us when we were up in the corn crib.
So about 11 or...
Yeah, 10, 11. And she'd have to help us get up there, and then she'd have to say, now be quiet, here he comes, don't say anything. And there was a lot of responsibility. And we'd sit up there until dark, until Olive would come and get us.
Were there other times that he was suicidal, that he would threaten to hurt himself, or
Not that I know of.
just the one
Just
time
the
you
one
remember?
time that I know of, yeah. And when I was 15, I was about 15, and he quit drinking, and that was it. Did it on his own.
Why did he stop?
I have no idea.
So you don't know what happened that he decided to quit drinking?
No, I have no idea. He just did.
Usually there's something that would...
Yeah, but I have no idea. There might have been, but like I said, I have no idea.
Was there any other big thing going on in his life at the time? Any changes with Olive or any...
I think looking back, he told me one time, and he had been drinking when he did this, and I can remember I was 12 and a half, 13, and I was sitting on the running board of the pickup, and he came over and sat down beside me, and he had been drinking. And he told me, he said, if it wouldn't be for you, I'd have my first wife yet. So I think maybe losing her and having two little girls, Mildred was 3 and a half, and then having this with a housekeeper, and he had to marry Olive, and that isn't the way he wanted his life to be, and I think that was a lot of it.
And so after he quit drinking, did you notice a change in his demeanor?
Oh, yes.
And how was that then?
He didn't get near as mad anymore. That all went away. The anger, a lot of the anger went away. And that was the biggest change.
Do you think he somehow dealt with some of his feelings?
Evidently, because when my kids came along, now, he held all of them. I can't ever remember sitting on my dad's lap. Never. But he held all my kids and made over them. And when the grandkids came along, he really made over them then, So he was a whole different man then. But
did you trust that, or were you still kind of
Did I trust?
that that the change was true, or did you kind of hold back at
No,
first, wondering when the other shoe would drop? Or
No, I trusted him because my dad was, one thing he was as honest as the day is long. He wouldn't say he didn't have a drink because he would admit what he did. And he would, if he owed somebody anything, he would do anything and everything to pay it. He just, and we were taught too, you work for what you get and you don't take any handouts from anybody. That was his lifestyle.
what other sort of character traits did he have?
Outside of honesty, hardworking. He would work day and night to get his crops in the field or to get them out, whatever it took. My uncle could always see over there and he'd say, yeah, he said, Harvey's out there working yet. I don't know why he don't go to bed. And he'd work all night. Come in and eat something and do chores and go back out to the field. And when the field was done, then he was done.
So he was a farmer, and like what did he usually raise?
Farmer, and then he pulled Hereford cattle. And those were his life. He loved those cattle.
And how long did he do all that?
As long as I knew him, until 1976 is when they had sale.
He died in, was it 81?
I think so. 80 or 81.
Yeah, 80, probably, maybe 80. Oh. Well, I can't remember, 80, 81?
Something like that.
Had you ever heard stories of your dad when he was younger? Like, did your grandma ever talk about, when your dad was younger, he did this, or?
Only a couple of things, and the one thing was my great-grandparents came over from Germany, and of course my grandmother and grandfather spoke German a lot. And when my dad was very headstrong, I'll answer it. Can you shut it off?
Sure.
No, my grandma used to say how headstrong my dad was, and I don't know what it was. One day he was only like 3.5 years old, and my grandma told him he couldn't do something. He just threw a fit, I guess, and he was standing on the chair crying, and grandma said, "What's your problem?" And he says, "Wenn ik wat wil, dan wil ik wat." That means if I want to do something, I want to do it. And that was about the only thing. And then he was into weightlifting and things like that. He played violin. It was when he was younger, he played violin. And our grandma called it a fiddle. He did play that.
How long did he play that?
I don't know, it must have been in his earlier years.
You don't remember him
I don't
personally?
remember, no. Music, grandma liked music, but never to her that was, we were wasting time if we were playing the music. She had a piano, and the only time, my Uncle Melvin, who helped raise me, he would, when he went out on Saturday night, then he'd come home and then he would play church hymns. But otherwise, you didn't touch that if there was work to be done while you worked. And I'm sure that's, and my aunt, they were very musically inclined because my aunt, that's Doris's mother, she played the ukulele, she played the banjo, she played the guitar, and she played the piano. And she could have done a lot with that,
So do you feel you missed out on some things because your grandma didn't want you messing around with music or
When we
things?
were on the farm, I would have liked to have piano lessons, but she wouldn't hear of it. She said, if you want to play, you can learn yourself. And Melvin and Mabel had some old books there, and I did pick it up a lot that way, but no, I never had any piano lessons.
So you never had any formal lessons.
No.
What you've played, you've taught yourself.
Yeah,
Okay.
so.
Well, I wanted to jump over to, we were talking this morning about foster care.